Hayao Miyazaki, legendary creator of Studio Ghibli and famous anime films like Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro. Today, I want to explore one interesting reason to hate on the guy and see if it holds water in the real world. But I have to be frank, I, in fact, like the guy's work. Wait, so what did you mean by this video title? Let me tell you a story. During my travels, I once joined a drawing group in Thailand, and the guy that was organizing it, interesting bald dude, always at some point during those meetings would start ranting about Miyazaki. It went something like this. He said that he does not like Hayao Miyazaki because Miyazaki said that his process is as such. He starts from drawing a picture and then he comes up with a story. And that troubled our guy deeply. In his mind, a story had to be written first, and only then a mere mortal should be allowed to draw pictures. Any deviation from that workflow apparently granted the sinner a full discredit. And while I think that this guy is a little bit of a nutcase, I also think that there's an opportunity to do a quick case study. What comes first, the picture or the story, the chicken or the egg? I'm going to try both approaches, and we will examine what produces superior results. Let's begin. All right, so I'm jumping straight into starting from the drawing rather than the story, the infamous Miyazaki way. I find that I gravitate toward this method, meaning it feels on an emotional level easier, at least for me. In a Ghibli film, there's always a kid and an animal or creature, and so inspired by that notion, I'm drawing a kid riding a kind of a dog thing, but that quickly turns into a weird chimera creature. What I'm realizing is that as I'm drawing, I'm running into problems, mainly design problems. For example, I didn't like the head on the dog, so I turned it into a creature. The kid started from wearing a baseball cap, but I felt like in order to make his silhouette more striking, a police hat could help. When I drew his shoe, I just naturally gravitated towards something an adult would wear, maybe because this is something that I'm used to drawing. Each one of these choices, originally just arbitrary design solutions, started piecing together a story in my mind. The kids in my movie live in a kind of a nightmare, not the completely terrifying kind, but the eerily intriguing a la Ghibli movie kind. In my nightmare, most of the kids lose touch with themselves and instead play the role of what they want to be once they grow up. And hence, you have a kid who is clearly a bully, completely fused with his policeman persona, riding a chimera dog that is the stuff of nightmares. I'm not going to write a whole film, but the idea is that this is a menacing side character that our hero would have to evade throughout their journey as the only kid awake in the nightmare, where all of his classmates have turned into their weirdly dissociated versions of their adult selves. Lastly, I added a kind of a blue aura to the character, just because I wanted it to pop. I then justified it by deciding that this is an indication that the kid is being controlled by some mysterious power that will probably be lifted once our hero saves everyone from this predicament. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the image and the story that sort of naturally ensued. What I liked about this method is that by the time I finished painting the piece, the story had literally taken care of itself. I have not struggled for a single minute to think up any of that stuff. I did, however, struggle with visual problem solving for the image. All right, that was a very good method, in my opinion. Thank you, Miyazaki-san. Now let's reverse it and try the bald man's way, or just the sort of linear way, starting from a script and ending with an image.
This time, I've nothing visual to draw from, making the amount of ideas that I can come up with feel a little bit too vast. In order to trim it down, I'm again thinking of something that would make sense in a Miyazaki film, and given how there's always some kids and some creature, I'm thinking to make it a story about two brothers. The little brother keeps telling the big brother that a weird creature is stealing things from the kids at school, but the brother never believes him. One day, on the way home from school, the little brother convinces older brother to follow a mysterious trail in the woods, and lo and behold, there he is, the creature and the stuff. Now, I've got another amazing idea. Let's connect it to the story from before. What if the stuff he stole are the things that represent each of the kids' dream jobs? Let's add the police hat to the drawing. The creature steals the kids' precious items and uses them to lure and enchant them into the nightmare. The brother finds his own item, and upon trying to take it back, he gets sucked into the dream. I'm thinking this older brother might be the policeman, and the little brother the savior. Having the story decided on before painting the picture does not necessarily make the craft of creating an image easier. In fact, it perhaps makes it even harder, because now now we can't really make arbitrary decisions that would impact the story itself, and therefore might struggle more with representing the original concepts accurately. What I'm finding is that when acting as both the storyteller and artist, we really have a chicken and egg situation. Visual decisions impact and alter the storyline, which in turn creates more narratives that visuals have to be catered to. But even when working as a team, so long as the script isn't locked to changes, visuals and story development can influence one another up until the very last moment. To summarize, our bald friend's take might be completely misguided, but at least it gave me a good idea for a video title. What do you think? Chicken or egg? Does it matter where you begin? Let me know what you think down in the comments. One more thing, in order to keep making these videos, I have to become a sort of an internet beggar that asks you to join their Patreon for a few bucks, but the Patreon is not without benefits. It includes entire recorded lessons on art fundamentals as well as worksheets, and it is occasionally updated, so give it a try, my friends. Thank you.